Hello and welcome to the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host Eric Smith, and today I want to talk about White Knuckle by Eric Red. This is from Samhain Publishing, and for once I'm ahead of the curve. I believe this is available on Kindle at the moment, but the actual book doesn't come out until the beginning of June. So I've actually got it read and getting the review out there so people know about it ahead of time. So in White Knuckle, FBI Special Agent Sharon Ormsby is part of the FBI's Highway Serial Killings Initiative, the HSK for short. And at the beginning of the book, what she does is travel around the country and talk to different law enforcement agencies, tells them about what the FBI is doing, how they can all coordinate because of the serial killers on the highways. There's a lot of highways in the United States, and it's tough for one organization to deal with everything, so they want to combine forces and work together. So she's doing that. She's traveling the country, giving these talks, and after each talk she just goes back to the office and works at a desk. And so she finishes up a talk, heads back to Washington, doing her desk duties, analysis and things, and she connects a couple of crimes, a couple of dead bodies, and realizes that she may have found a serial killer. So she wants to go out on the road and try to track down this person that she believes has been killing women for years and years and years. So she decides she wants to go undercover, and her boss okays it. So she's going to pose as a trainee long-haul truck driver, and they bring in this long-haul trucker that had been a suspect at one point, but he was cleared, and he seemed like a decent guy and wanted to be helpful. He's an ex-con, so he got his life back together and everything. So he's going to train Agent Ormsby how to drive a truck. She's going to just travel the country with him, and they're going to go to where bodies were found, where women disappeared, talk to the police, talk to witnesses, try to make connections, try to figure out who's killing these women. Now we know that the killer is a guy that goes by the handle White Knuckle. He's a long haul trucker, and he's just a psycho. He's been killing for 40 years, just driving the highways and byways, grabbing women in one part of the country, and he's got a stash hidden underneath his truck where he chains them up and he tortures them and eventually kills them, and then disposes of the bodies in a completely separate part of the country from where they were picked up. Makes it really tough for them to connect all these crimes, but they're able to do it. And Ormsby just wants to take down White Knuckle. And that's basically what you've got. The FBI agent going after this long-haul trucker serial killer guy. And riding along with Rudy Dykstra is the name of the trucker that she's riding with. So that's it in a nutshell. Just a thriller. So right off the bat, I was really excited to pick this up and read it. Eric Red, the author there, you can see, is a screenwriter and a director and an author, and he has written 2 movies that I love. Near Dark, which is my favorite vampire movie. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a big fan of vampires, but Near Dark is an absolutely fantastic vampire flick. That was written by Mr. Red. And then one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, The Hitcher, And Eric Red actually wrote the original and the remake. I've not seen the remake, just because I've never gotten around to it. But the original, I saw it in the theater for the first time, and it just blew me away. It's such a fantastic movie. So I was very excited to read something by Eric Red. And I like the whole long-haul trucker, killer, thriller thing. There's a tradition of that. Duel, the classic story by Richard Matheson that was made into a made-for-TV movie directed by Steven Spielberg. Joyride, it's a really good movie. Even Breakdown, starring Kurt Russell. I saw that in the theater with my sister, and when the movie ended and we were walking out, she told me that the movie was so intense it made her chest hurt. But these are just a few of the sort of killer trucker stories that are out there. And I enjoy them. So, again, that's just another reason I wanted to pick this up and read it. Unfortunately, I was disappointed in this story. For a few reasons. Now, there are some good things in here. The story itself is pretty interesting. The FBI agent going undercover, learning about just being a long-haul trucker, learning about how to drive the truck. There's a lot of detail as far as the trucks and the highways of America and how things work. Which I found really interesting. So that was really cool. And the killer, White Knuckle, is an interesting character. We get a lot of his backstory, which was good. There are a few very personal scenes, or a couple, that I found really nice. When Agent Ormsby's boss, Frank Campanella, is teaching his daughter to drive. It was a real nice personal scene. And then there's a scene where Rudy Dykstra, along with Sharon Ormsby, they go to visit Rudy's ex-wife and his son, who he only gets to see maybe once a month because he's on the road. And that was, again, a real nice personal moment that I enjoyed very much. I maybe would have liked to have seen a few more of those touches in the book, because the characters didn't feel really fleshed out to me. Like I said, we did get some backstory on White Knuckle. And we get a little bit of backstory on Sharon Ormsby. But I was a little disappointed in that, simply because it seems like every time in this kind of story that you have the cop, they have some sort of tragedy in their past. And it just seems a little cliched. In this case, Sharon Ormsby's mother disappeared when she was a child. They were at a rest stop getting some gas, getting some snacks. They were on the way to Grandma's house, and while Sharon Ormsby, as a little kid, is in the station picking out some candy, her mom says she's going out to finish putting gas in the car, and then she just disappears. And I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I'm just kind of tired of it, I guess. It's every time you've got somebody like this sort of cop or law enforcement officer, there just seems to be some sort of tragedy in their backstory. And, I'd be interested in actual statistics, how many people go into law enforcement because of something that happened to them or a family member or a friend. Because in fiction, it seems to be every single law enforcement officer, something happened. So that does give a little character to Sharon Ormsby, but that's about it. I'm a fan of little personal details, just little things, and we really don't learn that much about her other than what happened to her when she was a kid, and then that she's an FBI agent looking for a serial killer. So I was a little disappointed in that. The writing style, this is the first thing I've actually read by Eric Red, and the writing style just didn't grab me. Sometimes it felt a little stilted, and then at other times the sentence structure seemed so convoluted I actually had to stop a few times and reread a sentence because it just seemed to wind in and around itself, and I kind of lost track. By the time I got to the end of the sentence, I lost track of where the sentence had started. I don't know if this is his usual writing style. I do have one of his other books. I haven't read it yet. It's a Western, a horror Western, so I don't know if the style's going to be the same. But it didn't grab me. It was easy enough to read, and I kind of flew through it. I was sick last week and didn't read anything, so once I was feeling better and I got to this, I got through it pretty quickly. I was interested in how they were going to find the serial killer. So it did hold my interest. It's not a boring book. I wasn't a fan of his style of writing, at least as far as this book is concerned. Probably the biggest problem I have, though, is the end. The big climactic scene just seemed a little too over the top and unrealistic. I'm not an expert. It just seems that some of the things that happen in here just did not seem realistic to me. I don't want to go into detail and give it away, because it is the big climactic scene. It just, I don't know, it didn't feel right to me. As always, comments will be open for spoilers, as long as everyone's polite and says post a spoiler warning. So if you want to know any more details, exactly what it is that I had a problem with, please just ask me in the comments below and I'll be happy to tell you. I'll post a spoiler warning. So it was just a little disappointing. Some good stuff in here. The story itself is compelling. I just have some problems with the story. A couple of coincidences that seemed kind of big. White Knuckle's been killing for like 40 years, and he's got this shack, his home, I guess, in the middle of nowhere, and these teenagers try to break in, and he's got it booby-trapped, so stuff goes wrong. But it just seems coincidental to me that this happened right during the heart of this big investigation. Some very, very cool scene goes on there, but for 40 years nobody's stumbled upon this shack. I suppose if somebody had, maybe they didn't survive. Maybe White Knuckle got to them. But just that, someone does stumble upon it, gets to the police and is able to report what they saw there, just seems way too coincidental to me. Again, that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm being a little nitpicky, I don't know. Maybe coming down off of being sick clouded my judgment. It just, a lot of it seems to be really coincidental. So, disappointed. Again, compelling story. Just the delivery of it left something to be desired for me. So I can't give this a high recommendation. Maybe I just hyped it up too much in my mind because he wrote two of my favorite movies. But I'm going to give this 2.5 out of 5 mud flaps. Big rig mud flaps. It's not horrible. Definitely not even close to the worst thing I've ever read. There is some good stuff in here. I would have liked a little more character development, fewer coincidences, and I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but I just think the big set piece at the end is just a little too unbelievable. And this is from someone who loves horror novels and monsters and things, but this is real world, as it were. There's nothing supernatural going on. So I can only suspend my disbelief so far before I have to say, no, I'm not buying it. And unfortunately, that's what happened at the end of this book. So, I mean, if you're interested, check it out. It's an interesting serial killer thriller. But just a little disappointing to me. So that's White Knuckle by Eric Red from Samhain Publishing. Comes out in June. As always, I will have links for it down below. I'll have the Amazon link. I think you pre-order it. Pre-order the paperback. I think you can get the Kindle now, as I said. I'll have the link for Samhain. Pre-ordering for that is coming up shortly if you want to get it directly from them. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. If there's going to be any spoilers, please post a spoiler warning. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I think that covers everything. So that's, again, White Knuckle. I do like the cover. Long haul truckers being crazy. It's Eric Red. I am going to read more of his stuff. It's not so bad that I'm completely turned off from his stuff. Like I said, I have a horror western that he's got. I definitely want to read that. That's a subgenre that I really enjoy. He does have another one coming out from Samhain later in the year that I want to check out. And another, I guess, one that came out between the horror western and this one, It Waits Below, I think, which looks really interesting. So I'm definitely going to check that out. He's worth giving another chance. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully they're a little better than this one. Just kind of disappointed, as I keep saying. It's tough for me to not rave about a book, but I have to give an honest review, and honestly, it just didn't work for me. But I mean, 2.5 out of 5. That's 50%. So, I mean, the good and the bad kind of equal. So there you go. I guess that's it. That's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.